Welcome to the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop, woodworking with an Appalachian flair.
This is Jerill with the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop. Since I custom build furniture, a lot of my clients ask me to apply a finish that will match an existing piece in their house, whether that be cabinetry, other furniture, trim, molding, hardwood floor, whatever. They want it to match. So for that reason, I mix my own finish. So a lot of people ask me, how do you mix your own finish and get the right color? So I thought I'd take a little bit of time and explain that to you. First thing I wanted to show you is what's called a color wheel. Now this is very, very old. This was developed by Sir Isaac Newton back in 1666 when he took a prism and refracted the light into all the different colors in the light, and then he took those collars and wrapped them around the wheel. So he created the first color wheel. So this has all of your collars on it. So this really is not that helpful to a woodworker that's trying to create a specific finish. This has all your primary collars, and it shows the relationship of all the collars, secondary and complementary, and when you blend collars, what you get. This is predominantly used by artists, designers, educators. It is still a good reference when you want to see how a particular collar relates to another collar. But there is a device that is good for woodworkers, and this is called the finisher's collar wheel. Now these are put out by the manufacturer of a product line. So the collars on these will match the collars that that manufacturer puts out. So this is really for the client or customer of a particular manufacturer. There are different brands, so they will have their collars on it. And these range anywhere from $10 up to over $60, depending on who the manufacturer is. Now the one common thing that all of the finishers' collar wheels have in common is they have the earth tones on them, and that is what is needed when you are mixing collars for furniture. So these are really a starting point for you when you go to mix a collar. Now around the perimeter of the wheel, it will have collars, and then there's an internal wheel which rotates, and there's collars on that. So the way I use it, when I go to match a particular finish, if it's not identical to one on the outside of the wheel, then I look at the windows on the inside, and when I find one that's the closest, it will give me the two collars to blend together and the ratio to get that particular match. Now this is really just a starting point. When you go to mix this up, you need to test it on a piece of scrap wood that is from the same batch of wood that you use to build your piece with. And make sure that it is sanded the same as your finished piece is, because the sanding will affect the absorption rate, which affects the collar. So when I go to mix, you need to either weigh your material or you can blend it by volume. I like using glass jars. I really like the canning jars. Some of them will have graduated marks on them, but if they don't, you can very easily take a marker and just mark on the outside. Most of the time the volume is close enough, but weighing is far, far more accurate. You need to keep your notes so you know what you've blended, and always make more than what you need, because if you start applying a custom-made finish to a piece of furniture and you run out, it's very, very difficult to get it to match exactly. So make more than what you need. Store them in a glass jar, and you can reuse what little bit's left over on smaller projects. Now you can see here I use a lot of different kind of oils, powders for pigments. I like using a powder, and you can get them in various manufacturers and different kinds. The finer the powder, the easier it will go into solution and the more uniform your color. The finer the powder, the more expensive the powder. So do a little bit of research if you're going to use some colors, whether it be in a oil finish or whether it be in epoxy. Check and make sure the powders are fine and give you the color you want, and make sure that they are compatible with whatever you are mixing. If you're using a liquid tint and it's water-based, then you don't want to use that in epoxy or in an oil-based finish. So make sure everything's compatible. So if you want to mix a custom finish, get you a finisher's wheel. It's a great starting point to get the exact color that your client wants. This is Jerill Vance with the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop reminding you, be proud of your Appalachian heritage.